You see, when you transcend this sense of being a separate self, an ego, you awaken to the divine that's always been within you. And now it's not your limited self trying to do all these things. It's just the Tao itself. It's the flow. It's the river of life that is now carrying you and bringing you into what is, or showing you what is, right? Revealing to you that it's been here all along. And then when you start to operate from this energy of inspiration, when you're in spirit, which is just a reflection, an expression of your true divine nature, this is when all things are possible. This is when miracles happen. This is when you start to transcend all these different limitations and these ideas, these beliefs that, oh, it's really infinite potentiality. And you can feel what that's like. It's limitless. So you start having more ideas and more creative insight and more intuition. And you start to remember things, and then you go with the flow that's now within you and expressing itself in all these beautiful ways, and life becomes very harmonious. Life becomes a dance. And what you can attract from this state of being, from this energy, is beyond anything your ego can think, ask, or imagine. So life becomes very magical and very fun and entertaining and like a roller coaster. And from this place of the higher mind, the higher self, and a higher frequency, the true nature, which is unconditional love, is now expanding, and your field of energy is actually literally going way beyond your physical body. And people can feel it, and they're drawn to it. And like I said, it truly is a magical state of being to operate from. But that's really it. Once you're living from that place, and that becomes your dominant energy, you don't have to try to manifest anything. You don't have to try to attract anything. In fact, that word try kind of goes out of your vocabulary, because it just is. It's very effortless. And things in your perceived outer world just start to naturally reflect that energy of being in spirit, which is your divinity. And again, this is where all things are possible. This is where you really start to get creative. You start to dream again. You notice that there's this increase in imagination. And you know, when you return to this energy of inspiration, when you remember who you are and you're living from true self, imagination comes back pretty quickly, because imagination is this innate quality of your true self, which enables that expansiveness to flow from you and to shine brighter. So it all starts with you being honest with yourself, you getting curious, and you going within to see what's blocking that, because it's there. It's never not been there. You already have it within you. The entire kingdom of heaven, the entire kingdom of God is within you, your true self. This is just a matter of removing what's been hindering you from that. See? And that's where true magnetism begins, and it feels very authentic. It feels like home. It feels like something that you've always known than what it's been made out to be. Start with what you know for sure. I am awareness. It's something that you're directly experiencing. It doesn't require any belief or any adherence to a religious doctrine. It's you. And this is the most, in my opinion, this is the most important experience you can have in your spiritual journey. And everything flows from this. Everything you're trying to attain and experience flows from this. I'm telling you, the inner peace, the manifestation stuff, the attraction stuff, the expansion of consciousness, the intuition, everything that you've been searching for and seeking, especially in the whole world of spirituality, starts and is rooted in I am, and living in alignment with your true nature, which is ultimately what the soul is longing for. The soul wants to live this harmonious life that's in alignment with the true self. So it all starts with energy. This is a game of energy. This is a universe of energy. Everything is energy vibrating at different frequencies. This world of abundance and peace and joy and love is what it is. It simply is. It all starts with your inner world. Why? Because what we're perceiving to be the external outer world is just a reflection of whatever the energy is or the beliefs are within us. Those beliefs, the energy, is being projected into what we are perceiving to be the outer world. But it's actually all interconnected. It's all one. So it's very effortless. And then the shift happens when you see that your true self, which is spirit, has always been there. It's the light that's always shining. And so now you shift from desperation into the energy of your true nature, which is inspiration. When you're in inspiration, you're in spirit. Inspiration, inspired. That's what it means. Inspiration to me is all about being in spirit. That's what it means to be in spirit. And when you're in spirit, now you have a completely different energy, a completely different vibrational frequency. And that is what is being broadcasted into the universe. That's the new signal that is now going to start attracting different circumstances and people and opportunities and relationships, and all these things are going to start to become very apparent. They're going to start showing up because of the broadcast signal that we are now putting out. And it all started with something that shifted within. It was a different energy. And you can feel what the energy of inspiration is like. It's an amazing energy. I'm trying to think of the best words to describe it. It's just excitement, and it's pure joy, and it's positivity, and it's peace, and it's this open mind, it's this expansiveness, it's this lightness. You feel regulated. You feel like there's this divine flow moving through you. It's like, when Jesus said, he said, I do nothing on my own. It's the Father, it's the divine, it's source consciousness within me, moving through me, doing everything and saying everything. Truth that's always been there. By becoming curious, there's a precursor to seeing the truth, and that's curiosity. Questioning everything. And as that happens, there's this heightened awareness, there's this expansion of consciousness, and you start to see things that before you couldn't see. And the more you see, the more you realize, the more you remember. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And so as you see, again, going through some kind of self-inquiry or some kind of meditation of the I Am, as you see and directly taste that, everything that you're not is now just falling off like leaves fall off of a tree. It's very effortless, but it's something that's happening indirectly. And you know that because you can feel the energy of that. And from this realization of I Am, you find and discover that everything that you've been looking for outside of yourself was actually what you are. And these things, these different energies or emotions that we call, love, peace, joy, happiness, freedom, these different experiences, all of these different things are actually stemming from the only thing you know for sure, I am. Do you see that? And not to mention, people are trying to become more present or get into the present moment. But I'm going to tell you that you can't. You can't get into the present moment. You can't be more present because you are always in the present moment, because the present moment or the eternal now is actually what you are. What tense is I am in? Yeah, the present tense. So you can't get into the present moment because you are the present moment. And again, this is something that happens indirectly. As you're noticing and experiencing what you can know for certain, presence is just there. You start to experience it. It's now very evident, and it's a byproduct of self-realization or self-discovery. It's not, I'm trying to be more present and then I'll feel better. No, it's, I'm awakening to what I am, and now I'm more present. And all these things that used to distract me are not there anymore. So now I have clarity. And now I have this peace that surpasses all understanding, and my vibration's higher. Because that's the other thing. Once you discover your inherent divinity, you realize you don't have to raise your vibration. It's already high. It's always been high. And now that you're navigating the human experience with this high vibration, you become more attractive. So you also don't even have to try to manifest things, because now you're just attracting them into your life in a very effortless way. So there's not all these different methods and techniques and trying to figure it all out. No, it's the principle of vibration, the principle of correspondence, as within, so without, the principle of mentalism. All is mind, all is consciousness. I am. Those are some really important principles in Hermeticism. So much simpler than what it's been made out to be. Start with what you know for sure. I am awareness. You exist. Existence. Awareness. I amness, whatever you want to call it. There's this experience occurring. There's this awareness. There's consciousness. I am. That is the ground of being. That is, to me, the foundation of truth, because that's what you can directly know and experience, occurring within your own consciousness, and it's a projection of what's going on within you. But you can always come back to I am, and that's why in many of the different mystical branches of the various spiritual traditions, there's this deep reverence and focus on I am, or know thyself. That's where you have to start with what you can directly experience and know experientially. That is wisdom. knowing thyself, which is going to give you tremendous clarity and understanding and insight as you navigate this human experience. You are life itself, the universe itself, experiencing what it's like to be this finite human being. What if that was actually going on? Well, when you start to meditate on I am that I am, and you start this process of self-inquiry, and you start to go through nete, not this, not that, and you see that whatever you are is not the body, it's not the mind, it's not your thoughts, it's not your feelings, it's not your emotions, it's not what you are experiencing. It can't be, because if you're experiencing it, if you're observing it, then that's the object, and you are the subject, which is consciousness, or awareness, knowing, isness, and the subject can never be the object, right? So if you can observe it, if you're aware of it, then what does that mean about you? See? And that's why the whole awakening journey is discovering or rediscovering your inherent divinity. And what does that mean? What does divinity mean? What am I talking about? I'm talking about transcending the limitations of the ego, of separateness. To me, that's what divinity is all about. So as the focus becomes inward, first and foremost, direct experience, I am, instead of outward, trying to find yourself outside of yourself in what you believe, in an idea, in a theory, in belonging to a certain group, whatever it is, you start to experience something that is absolutely life-changing. And in my opinion, remembering who you really are, letting go of who you think you are, is what this experience, this game, this roller coaster ride is all about, that we call the human experience. That's actually something that happens simultaneously. Because as you start to see the truth, as you have that direct experience and you're honest with yourself, which is I am, and you let that be the ground of being for your experience, for your truth, then everything that you're not just starts to fall off. You don't have to try to let it go. This is simple. You start to see the truth. Sometimes letting go is not something that you actually do directly. Letting go is something that happens indirectly. It's a byproduct of the truth, or of seeing the truth, or remembering the truth. So as you're chipping away at everything you're not, and you're starting to get glimpses of who you really are, then the identification, the attachment to the ego is the practice of whatever your spiritual practice is. And this can be meditation, this can be connecting with nature, this can be anything that brings your awareness from the headspace into the heart space. And as you practice that daily, and you start to live from the heart, and you start to operate according to the intuition, and you start to feel more instead of overthinking all the time, this is when you start to see. And when you start to see is when the letting go, again, the letting go, the way I'm using it here, has to do with the attachment to a certain idea of oneself. The chipping away is the practice, like the meditation, the reminders, the breath work, the stillness, the silence, the walks, the whatever you do. That's the chipping away. That's the practice. That's the grounding. That's the centering. One of my favorite things to do, by the way, is just to be in the sun. When I'm directly in the sun, and sometimes I'm meditating while I do this, but other times I'm literally just sitting there breathing in the air and grounding and just sitting in the sun, I feel very much in my body, and I feel this expansion start to occur from my heart space. Then I notice, hey, look, my thoughts are becoming less and less. So now I'm not in the overthinking beta brainwave state. I start to drift into alpha, and I feel that deep connection. And I've talked about this before too. The Earth has a frequency, it's called the Schumann resonance, and that's 7.83 hertz. And when you're in the lower end of alpha, you start to experience the brainwave frequencies that are very close to the Schumann resonance. So you really feel connected to the Earth. And being in the sun definitely helps with this, because you're absorbing the photons from the sun and the electrons from the Earth, so you're being charged, and you can really sense that. And anything that really grounds you like that and causes you to really feel in the body, that's going to bring your awareness into your heart space, or it can at least. That's why a lot of people love to be, on the beach or in the mountains, because they feel when they're in these different environments, connecting with nature, like there's this openness, there's this expansiveness that starts to occur simply by being in that element or in that environment. Is most aligned with your soul, because it's going to look a little bit different for each being. So that's just one of many. But again, the focus is going to be something that is bringing your attention, your awareness into your heart space, so that you can start to access the deeper parts of your being and feel more instead of think or overthink. And when this happens, you will notice that the insight and the wisdom and the knowledge that starts to spring from this deep well within your soul feels much more like a remembrance than learning something new. It will feel like something that you've always known. It's much more about simply bringing your awareness, your presence, your I amness, which is, if you sit with your presence, you'll notice that there's no judgment there. There's no fear, there's no anger. It's just the essence of unconditional love and acceptance and peace that surpasses all understanding. All of a sudden, there's just your true nature. It's just your presence. If you want to call that your purpose, like your presence is your purpose. It's not some like mission that you have to go and do that's going to ultimately do all these things. Like if that happens, if your life turns out to be some kind of, extravagant mission and you're able to do all these amazing things, fantastic. That's wonderful. That's amazing. But so what if your presence is your purpose? Ramana Maharshi said, your own self-realization is the greatest service you can render the world. So what if, when you start to go within and you start to dissolve these things that have been, these beliefs that have been keeping you from the real you, and then you start to let your light shine and you start to express yourself and now you're walking according to your true nature, what if that is actually the precursor to whatever flows from that in regards to serving and helping the world around you? What if it actually starts with knowing who you are first? Because that's what it boils down to, I think, in a lot of these different instances where you find these people who are super motivated and driven and they have this purpose and this plan and all these different things. It's like the reason they feel so empty after they've been able to accomplish so much is because they don't know who the hell they are. Or they were associating what they were doing, their purpose, with their identity. And that's where they were getting caught up. Because if your identity, if who you think you are, is tied to what you're doing, it's never going to be enough, which means you'll never feel enough. And then what you're doing will just be some kind of compensation or overcompensation, which is the ego, to deal with a much deeper belief or feeling of being inadequate or being unworthy or not enough or like there's something wrong with you. You'll be compensating for that deeper core subconscious belief, and that's the very thing that's actually driving your life. See? When you focus on your own inner world and you start to awaken to your true nature, that realization, that alone is doing so much more than your egoic mind realizes, because we're all interconnected. So now that you're operating from this higher frequency, it's automatically going to be positively impacting the world around you, whether your egoic mind sees it or not, which is a beautiful thing. And think about trees. Think about a tree. It's rooted and grounded in being a tree, just being a tree, being what it is. And yet, just by being itself, it is tremendously helping the environment around it. Think about all the things that trees produce, the oxygen and all the life that it's just giving unconditionally, simply by being a tree. It's not trying to be a tree. It doesn't have some plan to do this or do that. No, it's just being itself. It's rooted and grounded in itself, and that is enough. You're already whole. Or once you start seeing the truth and then knowing the truth, that is what leads you to the experience of the freedom that is, the peace that is, the fulfillment that is, the connection that is. All these things simply are abundance, love, joy, wholeness. All of these things are reality. They are the sun. It's always shining. And it all starts with seeing. It all starts with perspective, because, honestly, I think that something that doesn't really get talked about enough is the power of presence. Your presence is the light of the world. And so when you bring your presence, your awareness, your consciousness into any kind of belief, that the presence is truth. It is the light. And so when it meets a belief that's existing in the dark, in the shadows of your subconscious, that belief, if it's false, dissipates very naturally on its own, because it just can't survive in the presence of light, of truth. So it's not. Freedom is actually the very essence of your nature. It's always been. And it's not life circumstances that actually form the beliefs within us. It's our interpretation of what's happening to us. It's our interpretation of the event, the situation, how we relate to life in that moment, that then forms the limiting belief that keeps us from the inherent freedom that we are. And what automatically happens in the human mind is that there's this meaning that's assigned to whatever happens to us, which is another idea that's just being formed in the mind, that things are happening to us. It's a perspective. But that, paired with the assigned meaning that we give it, is what actually creates the belief within us that then brings forth this inner suffering. And inner suffering is the storm, the clouds, the rain that prevents us from seeing the sun that's always shining. The sun that's always shining is your
true nature, which is freedom.
We don't suffer because of what's happening in life. We suffer because of our own imagination and our interpretation and our resistance to life. Big difference right there. And the more you see that, the more you're free of the suffering, which is amazing, right? So yeah, just trust the flow, trust the rhythm. You are the river. The river is navigating these different bends and it's going through different things, but that's just part of it. That's part of the ride. That's part of life. And the cool thing is, it's like, with the different cycles and flows and rhythms and polarities, it's like you wouldn't even know a good day if you didn't know and experience a bad day. You know hot without cold, light without dark, joy without sorrow. And that's one of the main reasons that we incarnate in this human experience, is to feel everything, the full spectrum, all of it. That's what the soul is actually longing for. That's what this human experience is all about. But just remember, like when you're going through a valley, it's not the end. It's the beginning of a new mountain. It's the beginning of a brand new season, a brand new chapter. And it's actually where the most amount of growth and perspective change and deprogramming and reprogramming happens. Yeah, but again, going back to that question, I keep going back to that. What would it be like to live your life where you had trust in life and you started to follow your heart? You started to express yourself, because now all of a sudden there's less tension, because there's less resistance and less avoidance, and you're playing the game of life to have fun. And of course, you're still doing all these great things. You're working, you're taking responsibility. That's part of the human experience, by the way. There's a time and place for all of that. So please do not hear what I'm not saying. There's a time and place for all of that. However, when we can see and realize that we can actually navigate this experience in a way that's truly free, it just changes everything, and it makes it so much more enjoyable, and there's less clouds, so we see more and we learn more, and then ultimately we evolve more. But we can receive that in a very tangible way in this 3D earth realm when we're open, when the energy of receiving is there. And the precursor to the energy of receiving is trust. It's trust. And it's the absence of the need to control. That's where the magic happens. And again, this is a very magical universe. It's so magical. And a big part of seeing the magic and experiencing the magic is returning to that original wholeness, that childlike energy of wonder and awe and curiosity. And trust. Trust in the divine, the source, the abundance, the provision, all of that. All of those things simply are, as I always say. We don't have to attain those things. We don't have to achieve. We don't have to go find and look and seek and search. All of those things simply are. Our task is to investigate where we are holding on to our ego's plan, and then simply see the truth, which is that is illusory. And in the seeing of the truth, in the seeing of what is, automatically, simultaneously, the ego's grip and the need to control dissolves, and that is freedom. That is freedom. Like, what would it be like to know that the universe was on your side, and that if something happens, it's okay? There's that divine safety net of unconditional love and divine transformation, and His grace, and the precursor to a season of highs and transcendence and evolution and growth and all these incredible things. Because that's the nature of life, by the way, too. Like, there's an ebb and flow. There's the highs and the lows. That's the law of rhythm. That's just, again, look at nature. Learn from nature. It's what everything is doing. It's seasonal. It's very cyclical. When you really start to trust in life, you trust in the divine, God, source, whatever you call it, and you sit back and relax. And, with this, there is still a time and place absolutely for doing your part and taking responsibility when you need to. And a lot of this comes from, like I said earlier, one of the main things you actually have control over, which is your perception. From your perception, there's going to be certain action that's required and certain work and responsibility. And so that's just something to pay attention to. But for the most part, I'm talking about where you're living from predominantly. Where you're living from predominantly can be from this place of, yes, I might be walking this tightrope, but I have this major net underneath me. So I'm going to try to walk the tightrope, and I'm going to focus on what I need to do, and I'm going to, enjoy the experience. And that's the cool thing. Like walking the tightrope, knowing that there's a net underneath you that's going to not only catch you, but even spring you up beyond where you were before, that enables you to enjoy life. That enables you to not take things so seriously. That enables you to trust in the divine in a way that you couldn't before. Life-changing realization I have come to. I'm so relaxed now, and I'm able to laugh a lot more. I'm able to take it easy and, like I said, take it slow and spend more time in nature and learn from nature. That's the thing. You will learn more from nature. You will learn more from a tree than you would ever believe. The trees, the animals, the water, the sun, the breeze, all of it has something to teach you if you're able to see it, if you're in that energy of openness and the energy of receiving. Because that's the other thing. When you're coming from this place of letting go and trust and surrender, you're in the energy of receiving. Does that make sense? So the flow is able to come in, or it's able to flow from within you. That's more of an accurate way to describe what's happening, because everything you could ever want, dream for, ask for, believe for is already within you. It's in the kingdom of heaven, and that's within us, consciousness. So it's actually flowing from within us. When you're in flow, when you're trusting the divine within you, when you're realizing that I can actually have fun, I can have a good time, I can play around because there's this safety net. I trust in life. I trust in God. I trust in this provision and this security that's built into life itself. If we go beyond that, like when I examine the inherent default state or design of this universe, I see a place of abundance and a place of provision and a place of vitality, a place of life, a place of magic, abundance, like seeing that this is a very abundant universe, an abundant earth, and then recognizing that we are one with everything. It totally changes your perspective, because now you can kind of relax again, because now you're not trying to figure out what's underneath the tightrope. Now you're trusting, you're believing that it's okay and it's actually better than you thought before. And just think about that. Like, I know for myself, I remember hearing stories about athletes and musicians and people, even people in business owners and entrepreneurs, like talking about different things when it comes to performance and striving and what they've said. And I now firmly believe this because I've experienced it many times myself, especially in this past year, is they talk about something called the flow state, where they're still doing whatever they're doing, but they're not thinking, or they're not overthinking when they're doing these things. So there's this grace, there's this ease, there's this effortless flow that's coming from them, from their being, and they're able to actually perform way better. And so they transcend the thinking mind. They get into this flow state, or this state of consciousness, this zone of grace, I don't know what you call it. Yeah, grace, I guess. And what happens is there's this playfulness, and like I said, the performance increases, and it becomes something that is very enjoyable, coming from the level of consciousness you had at the time, and you were doing the best you could with that level of consciousness. But the only thing we really have control over is our perception of life, not life itself. Everything becomes grist for the mill. Everything becomes an opportunity to actually grow and to evolve and to see things from a higher perspective. And when you change the way you're looking at things, you look at change. And that's what this whole journey of inner transformation is ultimately about. It all starts from within. And this is why I believe Jesus and so many different sages and mystics talked about the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, the Christ, the Buddha, the Tao. It's all within. It starts from within and it flows without. And then, because think about it, if it's all on you and you have all this control, then it's going to be really hard not to take life seriously or not present. And it's just extremely exhausting, and it's unnecessary. That's why I call it unnecessary suffering.
You need to worry about the time here. You need to worry about how with a ruler and try to measure everything and figure it all out. You don't need those things here. That's for the outer man. You just leave that up to them. But here within, you always have a choice. You don't need, we have gone beyond dimension and time inside of ourselves. And our imagination puts us in touch with an unseen reality. mortal eye and organ perception doesn't see it. They don't perceive it. But again, in Isaiah, it says, do you see it? Do you perceive it? I made something new. And you can change it to say, I made you new. Do you see it? And you take that with you and you contemplate on this message for a while. You don't have to figure everything out. I know I haven't, but you think about it. While you're doing something, a mundane, think about this message. Who am I in here? How free am I? Am I as free as I would like to be? And you just answer honestly. There's no judgment. It's just total honesty. And then you slowly will start to free yourself. And so they're all different parts of you. Change not them, change you. And even if you change yourself in small ways, that's enough. And one small way you can do is you start to free yourself inside. You start to say, do I have to earn worth in here? No. Do I have to prove that I'm something in here to somebody? No. And when you realize you don't have to, you start to realize you've always been free. And so when you come back to the inner man, to your inner self, which is made of all imagination, when you come back to that being, things are restored. You start to realize I have a choice in what I do in here. The moment I become aware of what I'm doing, I have a choice. I don't need to act from compulsion anymore. I don't have to act from nervousness. I can choose how I act, and I can choose what I want to be in here forever. Some people in this world decide, I'm going to choose, I'm not talking about physically, I'm talking about internally. So they choose every day. So they choose to be in here. I'm not speaking about the outside right now. What do you choose to be in here? And you can start from scratch. You have to understand your imagination is a mirror to the man. If the face of a pond reflects the face, the mind reflects the man, not the mind. And so if you have to change something inside yourself, it's the man. And then the imagination mirrors you differently, be independent of you. So it is dependent upon the dreamer. So you have to remember the dreamer. Changes in the dreamer changes the dream, not the other way around. You have to change the dreamer first. It's not so much about what you do in here that matters so much. It's about who you are that matters more. Who are you in imagination? And you have to ask yourself, am I free in here? And the way you address that question is up to you. Am I? I really question, am I free in here? I don't worry about the outside. I just think about my insides. How free am I in this world? Do I really need permission from somebody in here? Do I really need approval? Do I really need to feel afraid? Does this world really mirror me? Then am I not free in here? If it does, am I not free? Everyone in my imagination is me pushed out. I put the words in their mouths, even if it feels like I don't. No matter how independent a dream feels. I don't need a ruler in my imagination. I don't need a watch on my wrist. Someone's trying to measure everything, and I'm trying to stop them and say, you don't need to worry about the dimensions of here. This thing's always shifting. We can just create. You need to see imagination as a place of creating things with no basis in fact. There's no shame, there's no judgment, there's no fear. You can create entirely off of nothing. Well, although you can, right? You can readjust some words that you heard in your life. You can readjust certain scenes and scenarios, but you also can just create something new. As it says in Isaiah, look, I created something new. Do you perceive it? Do you see it? And you have to ask yourself, who is speaking? Is it the outer man or the inner man? It's the inner man. The inner man's telling you, look, I created something new. I created you in a new way. Do you see it? Do you accept it? And it becomes more free when you see it that way. I actually enjoy laughing in my imagination. I like creating funny things in here. And I like to create stuff off of nothing. I love creative freedom with no expectation, no judgment. I like to just see what I want to see, regardless of what anyone thinks.